Hey, thanks for clicking. I'm glad you're here. Michael Irvin just went nuclear on social media, and you probably saw bits of his FAFO cussing rampage. So let's cut through the noise and get to what matters for us as Cowboys fans. In this video, we're breaking down what he said, why he exploded the way he did, and how his argument is really less about speed and more about toughness and respect for the old school. I'll keep it short, direct, and honest, so you can decide if Irvin's hot take lands or if it's just heat without substance. Irvin opens by talking about how he woke up, looked in the mirror, and tried to protect his peace before the day started. And then he sees a clip using his image and Jerry Rice's to make the case that modern receivers are just faster and therefore somehow superior. That's what kicks him off. He's livid because to him, that clip isn't an academic point. It's a swipe at a whole way of playing and a lifetime of work. From there, he launches into the core of his argument. The league used to allow far more contact. Players took harder hits. Routes were run in the midst of punishment. And the guys who won championships did it when pain and grit mattered as much as athleticism. Irvin keeps repeating that catching passes up the field while getting your teeth kicked in is a different skill than outrunning someone on a highlight. Now, don't get me wrong, speed matters, and modern receivers are incredible athletes. But Irvin's point isn't that the modern guys aren't talented. It's that speed alone doesn't make a legacy. Championships, he argues, are built on guys who can take a pounding, still run crisp routes, and make the tough, game-defining catch when everything hurts. That hits for Cowboys fans because toughness and blue-collar mentality are woven into our identity, and Irvin is essentially reminding us of that DNA. Quick engagement here. Drop a one-word comment. Type Irvin if you think he's right, or type now if you think today's players are superior overall. And if you're not subscribed yet, help us hit our channel goal of 16,000 subscribers. It really matters. Also, vote in the pinned poll. Do you think old-school toughness matters more than raw speed? Yes or no? Coming up, let's break down Irvin's main claims line by line and test whether his championship-first mindset still holds up today. When you strip away the shouting and the cussing, Michael Irvin's speech actually contains a clear structure. Every burst of anger connects to one of three main claims: that the older era of football demanded more physical toughness, that championships mean more than stats, and that the modern game has softened so much that players no longer face the same pressure or pain. Let's take those one by one and see how they hold up. First, the toughness argument. Irvin insists that receivers in his era caught passes in the midst of pain, and that every route carried the risk of getting hit hard. He's not wrong. Back then, defensive backs could jam at the line with almost no limit, and safety hits across the middle were basically part of the highlight reel. Players like Ronnie Lott, Steve Atwater, and even early Roy Williams set tones that today would draw multiple flags. So when Irvin says, "We had pain in our game," that's not nostalgia talking. It's true. The sport has changed to protect players' long-term health, but the trade-off is a less brutal version of the game. Irvin's frustration comes from feeling that what he endured is now being dismissed as slow or less skilled, when in reality, those older players played under a different rulebook. His second claim is about what defines greatness. Not speed or stats, but winning championships. That's a classic old-school mindset. Irvin's logic is that a receiver who produces huge numbers but doesn't help his team win titles doesn't belong in the same breath as legends who delivered when the stakes were highest. Whether you agree or not, you can see the pride of a player who caught passes from Troy Aikman and made key plays in Super Bowls. His legacy is defined by moments, not measurements. Then there's his third and loudest argument that the modern game is softer. This one's more controversial. You could argue that the modern era is just smarter, that players now are faster, stronger, and better trained thanks to science and technology. But Irvin sees rule changes and NIL culture as eroding the fight that once defined competition. When he says, everybody gets a trophy, he's not really attacking one player. He's venting about a mindset that he believes undercuts accountability. So, when you add it up, Irvin isn't just mad. He's defending a philosophy. He's saying that greatness isn't about how fast you can run in shorts. It's about how far you're willing to go when everything hurts. And for Cowboys fans, that message should feel familiar. We've seen our team thrive when it's tough and falter when it isn't. Let me throw this one to you. Which modern receiver would you match up one-on-one with Irvin in his prime? Drop your pick in the comments with one word to explain why. And if you like these kinds of breakdowns, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Because now, we're going deeper. It's time to look at what the tape and the facts really say about this old school versus new school debate. If you really want to understand whether Michael Irvin has a point, you have to look beyond emotion and dig into what the film and facts actually show. The game he played in during the 90s was fundamentally different. Back then, receivers ran their routes knowing that a safety like Darren Woodson or Steve Atwater could legally knock them out before the ball even arrived. Cornerbacks could use both hands to redirect you for 5, sometimes 10 yards. Offensive schemes were built around balance, not volume, so wideouts didn't get 50. Short passes a year to pad their numbers. When Irvin says he never caught a pass behind the line of scrimmage, that's not an exaggeration. It's how the position was played. Everything was vertical, physical, and unforgiving. Now look at today's NFL. The league has engineered the rules to favor offense. Less contact, more protection, more points. Wide receivers today play in space, with pick routes, motion, and timing patterns that were illegal back then. Screens and slants are designed to minimize hits. So when Irvin says modern players don't know pain, what he really means is that they don't face the same kind of physical consequence for running their routes. It's not a shot at their courage, it's a statement about context. But here's where it gets tricky. Athleticism today is off the charts. Guys like Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase train year-round with nutrition, recovery science, and biomechanics that didn't exist 30 years ago. Their speed and agility numbers are objectively higher. So if you switched eras, would Irvin still dominate? Based on film, yes, but differently. Irvin's advantage wasn't just strength, it was technique and mental edge. Watch old clips, and you'll see him creating space with body leverage, controlling defenders with hand placement, and finishing contested catches through contact. That kind of control translates to any era. And on the flip side, could a modern receiver thrive in the 90s? Some could, but not all. A guy like Deebo Samuel or A.J. Brown might fit because of their physicality, but finesse route runners who depend on untouched timing would struggle with the constant bumping and hits. It's not about who's better. It's about adaptation to rules, style, and the culture of toughness versus precision. So maybe Irvin's fire is less about disrespect and more about protecting a forgotten standard. When you see highlight reels from his era, remember that every yard was earned in full contact, no safety. Nets, no quick outs to pad stats. That's the film truth behind the rant. Here's a quick vote for you. If you had to win a playoff game tomorrow, Would you take an old-school Irvin-type wideout who fights through contact, or a modern speedster built for space? Drop your vote in the comments and tell me why. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And now, let's bring it home. What does all this actually mean for the Cowboys today? Irvin's explosion isn't just an emotional outburst from a former player. It's a warning. He's reminding us that football, at its core, still rewards grit, leadership, and resilience. The Cowboys have plenty of speed right now. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, and some young talent trying to make their mark. But when Irvin talks about pain in the game, he's talking about mental toughness, something that shows up in December and January, when the hits get harder and the pressure multiplies. So when you think about this rant, think about the bigger picture. Irvin is saying, don't mistake flash for greatness. He's speaking to the next generation of players and to the fan base too, reminding everyone that the Cowboys' legacy isn't built on highlight reels. It's built on players who played through injury, made impossible catches, and delivered when everything was on the line. He's saying that real greatness doesn't fear pain, it uses it. And that's something the current team can take to heart. It's not about mimicking the past, but about carrying that same mentality into the modern game. The Cowboys need players who combine skill with grit, who can handle the soft flags and still bring hard-nosed energy when it matters most. That's how this team turns talent into trophies. So where do you stand? Do you side with Irvin and the old-school mentality? Or do you believe the modern NFL is just evolution, not softness? Let me know in the comments, and share this video with a friend who'll probably disagree with you. That's half the fun. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to help us reach 16,000 subscribers, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown here on Cowboys News TV. We've got more coming. More Cowboys stories, more player analysis, and more truth behind the headlines. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.